Welcome to my video ranking the best films that I personally saw in 2025. Similar to the Game of the Year video that'll be coming soon, but absolutely less stupidly in-depth, as it contains only 15 entries. I watch a lot of stuff in a year, but there's also a ton that I didn't get to that I really wanted to, so here are some films that probably deserve to be here if I'd seen them. As for the entries themselves, they're going to be a mostly spoiler-free affair, a simple review talking about what I think is good, what I think is bad, and what really makes me love it enough to put it on this list. The footage playing while I talk is just going to be some trailers on repeat for a sense of reference, like spoiler-wise. And there might be some amazing movies that aren't on my list or even in my little collage of things I want to watch. We just all have limited time, especially during each year. This is an exercise in having a bit of fun. So without further ado, let's get into the list. Starting with number 15, 28 Years Later. Now, I haven't seen any of the movies in this series until 2025. I since reviewed each one of them leading up to 28 Years Later. And having watched it, I have to say I really enjoyed myself. I appreciate the new turn it takes the series in. It is a film quite dramatically in love with its setting, transforming the post-apocalyptic franchise into an almost medieval-feeling story. The vibrant greens contrast with the hellish and disgusting creatures that occupy these lustrous lands. The story is simple, and perhaps its biggest flaw, relying on this almost like coming-of-age story of a young boy in this odd community, but everything about it comes together really well. Whether it is the tense but wide tone of it all, the beautiful landscapes and shot composition, the intricate makeup and visual design, topping it off with a fairly engaging second half, it really does just work. As a start to the new trilogy, it's able to strike the balance between opening up this new world to be explored, while also feeling singular and satisfying completely on its own. Though honestly, I wish the end scene was just after credits. It feels woefully out of place. But I think what tops it all is actually quite early in the film. There's a sequence with a dramatic reading of the poem Boots, contrasting the militaristic ritual of a boy's first voyage into these dangerous lands with the various forces of war throughout history. It's electrifying. I'll explore more of my feelings on this film in its own video, but to sum it up, it is what I want from good, classic, mainstream blockbuster filmmaking. Number 14, Rose of Versailles. A Netflix film adaptation of a 70s manga, an anime that lasted for 14 volumes and 40 episodes, is kind of a recipe for disaster. The beautiful story of Marie Antoinette starting from a young age, as well as her close protector, the cross-dressing Oscar, is one hard to condense into so little. And the final product is almost a complete mess. It rushes through these plot elements, skipping some important ones quite haphazardly, dancing through years in the blink of an eye, which was previously filled with fascinating storylines. But despite all of that, the core story of the original is so powerful that it manages to seep through the cracks and even make this deeply flawed film something special that will stick with me for a while. The soaring narrative of revolution between the fickle whims of the wealthy and powerful caging our protagonists who have to fight to find their love. So while you might be left a little dizzy from sudden jumps in time and the occasional half lead to something that goes nowhere, you will be crying by the end. There are some things that this adaptation accomplishes on its own. The use of dance sequences and songs to express a character's emotional state over a long course of time is dramatic, theatrical, and quite a beautiful way to rise above the shortcomings of this version. So I like this film quite a bit, despite its overtly negative reputation. If you want to be introduced to the story that might just haunt your soul, it's not a terrible place to start, and it offers at least something unique. Number 13, Sinners. Sinners has been a bit of a fan favourite of the year. It's probably the film I saw the most positive talk of all year, which had me quite excited, and I like a lot about it. It has some downright incredible blues music played throughout the story. The first half is this incredible setup where all these parts are intricately placed, just seeing this time period through these characters' eyes. The twins who are back from their attempt to make it big and confronting their past is just amazing. I think there are some very interesting themes of assimilation, and of course the movie heavily explores the discrimination African American people face, especially in this era. And while I prefer the first, more grounded half of the film, I do think the vampire angle is a delightful spin to put on the whole thing, introducing some action elements, exciting payoffs, and it's core to the themes of the story. But I have to say, I do feel it somewhat drags at that point in the movie. I was sad to see some of the delicately crafted character arcs suddenly snuffed out from a vampire attack. This could have been done to further the severity and mess with viewers' expectations, but unfortunately I just found it narratively unsatisfying. Additionally, the action isn't really well filmed and just gets messy and hard to follow. The fake blood and the like is oddly out of place from this otherwise beautiful movie. I only offer this criticism because I think Sinners is close to being the sort of movie I treasure for the rest of my life. So it's so much more frustrating when a great movie is a degree or two short from being legendary. Sinners deserves its critical praise, but I wish I could say it was everything I wanted from it. Still, absolutely worth a watch. Number 12, Frankenstein. I watched the original 30s Frankenstein film much earlier this year, and capped it off with the 2025 version. The difference is stark, and I don't think it's worth comparing them so closely. In fact, perhaps Frankenstein's biggest issue was that while it's so much closer to the original book, it can't hold a candle to the depth of themes and writing. A pretty standard problem for a book adaptation. So while some of the script left something to be desired, there is still a lot to love in this movie. Particularly the visuals. Knowing how much of this movie is practical makes every dazzling sight, incredible set piece, and surreal imagery so much more impactful. It blew my mind when I saw that the angel occasionally seen in dreams was a full prop. The costumes, the makeup, the sets. It is a degree of physical creativity and love often lost in big-budget modern filmmaking. I found the performances impressively exciting. Oscar Isaac brings so much to this role, and Jacob Elordi is able to really convey the brand new and then the cynical old sides of this monster. I appreciate so much of it, and I did enjoy myself overall. It feels wonderful actually seeing scenes from the book put to the big screen. Guillermo del Toro was the ideal filmmaker to capture the grim and odd nature of Frankenstein's work. This film has some of the highest highs of anything on the list, but I found the script and pace to drag it down to something that was good, but maybe not everlasting. Still absolutely give it a watch though. Number 11, Eddington. Eddington is a movie where I could see someone hating it as much as I love it for the same reasons, and they might be right to do so. Ari Aster has described it as almost a Rorschach test, while tackling some pretty divisive political topics such as radicalization or Black Lives Matter. And personally, I think the film works really well. A deep dive into the conservative mind unraveling and breaking apart, sinking deeper into darkness that he instigates while getting radicalized further with the exact same tricks he so blatantly used earlier in the film. It feels pretty cut and dry and fairly cogent. However, the film requires you to do a little work. If you believe the narrative as handed to you, it could easily act as right-wing propaganda in and of itself. I read it as political satire, but I think it's reasonable that people have different interpretations that don't paint it in such a positive light, or don't think that the satire is quite so effective. It's an interesting conversation to have, and it feels like one that's actually productive rather than just spinning its wheels. And besides the political narrative, I found the filmmaking to be more than up to snuff compared to Ari Aster's pedigree. It's interesting, it's exciting, and it's worth thinking and talking about, but occasional pacing issues and its potential unwillingness to declare many thoughts of its own do keep it from being unambiguously great in my mind. But hey, that's just how I feel. Number 10, women wearing shoulder pads. Perhaps the most underrated thing I watched all year. This was originally released in a couple 10-minute episodes, but was compiled into a film, which is how I watched it. So since you've almost certainly never heard of it, let me explain. This is a Mexican telenovela-style animated movie about a high-powered woman starting a new company in which guinea pigs are sold as pets, rather than pieces of food or beasts to fight. It's very, very silly. It's hilariously over the top, with as much drama as you'd please. You learn more and more about the protagonist as she fights with the other powerful people in her life, seducing the beauties she encounters to get what she wants, manipulating her enemies and her friends, and finally restoring any semblance of humanity within herself, despite a great deal of resistance. The animation is particularly charming. It has this excitable energy to it. I absolutely adore the style. It also has a mixed media quality, as some occasional shots of items or hands or a watch on a wrist is done in live action. The whole thing is funny, exciting, sensual, and even gets quite touching at times. It manages to say a lot without ever betraying the almost comical grandeur and drama this type of narrative demands. Whether you're a fan of its inspirations shouldn't matter at all. I think it is very universal in a lot of ways. It feels like a love letter while also boldly exploring something new. It's fun, pulpy, silly, yet manages to be meaningful throughout. It's the exact sort of thing I'm so glad Adult Swim picks up and supports. Indie animation is a veritable goldmine of quality, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. Or perhaps a little further down, because again, I heard literally no one talking about it. I just found it randomly while browsing HBO Max. Number 9, Superman. I do quite like superhero movies, but unfortunately, I'm not sure if any of them are truly able to stand toe-to-toe with the greats of other subgenres. A lot of mediocrity and factory filmmaking plagues the billion-dollar industry, which makes me sad because I love these characters and I love seeing their stories told. So I'm very happy to see DC's new universe under James Gunn start with a bang. Superman is everything a superhero movie should be. It's fun, it's exciting, it's a blockbuster that you could watch with literally anyone and have a good time. It manages to have its own personality in the story, the world, and even the technical aspects like cinematography or direction. It's not a masterpiece by any means, but is probably the best live-action superhero movie so far. It cuts right to the core of who Superman is, without touching the stupid side of the comics that drags the character in too many directions, while upping the stakes in battles, along with his powers, to oblivion. It is a perfect sign when the best scene in the movie is a faux interview between Lois Lane and Superman in their apartment, expressing each of their characters, why they differ, why they complement each other, illustrating who they are and how they need to change and learn to work together. Superman is just a great time, and that's what I want superhero movies to be. Number 8, Weapons. This is probably the horror darling of the year. Weapons manages to feel fresh all the way through, with a hook that just begs for answers, a pretty well done framing device following various characters' perspectives, an unraveling mystery, and finally a clean execution of some classic horror tension. It's the imperfect encapsulation of why horror movies don't have to be dumb to be good, which I say as a lover of the stupidest horror films out there. There are some scenes that genuinely make me grip my seat in intensity, namely one centering on an open house door in the middle of the night. The structure is certainly the most unique aspect to it, though that's not to say it's never been done before, but I think it's executed very well, with a nice litany of setups and payoffs that reward you for paying attention all the way through and trying to piece the puzzle together. It's absolutely able to say something about our society's treatment of children and disasters like this. I think the title is a fairly on-the-nose, acting as a double entendre. Tragedy is often weaponized by those grieving and completely unrelated personalities, which accounts for one of the meanings. The other refers to something a little bit more literal and obvious, made clear by the end of the film, so I'll keep that to myself in case you haven't watched it. Weapons is also a slight victim to the perceived 2-hour necessity of modern films. I think by cutting or just reworking James's story, for example, would do a lot, as that felt like a bit of a lull in the film despite being necessary for everything to come together. But still, Weapons remains a triumph and a delight of modern horror filmmaking. Number 7, One Battle After Another. A contender for most people's movie of the year. Like I think it has been for many, One Battle After Another is my first Paul Thomas Anderson film, and it certainly sold me on exploring his filmography a little bit more. I was impressed by a lot of aspects here. The way it is able to easily thread these almost like half an hour long scenes together, the slowly increasing music and pace of it all, escalating the drama until it becomes almost stressful before finally getting some sort of release, then repeating the process again. It is electrifying. I was shocked at how engaging it could be for every single second, despite the enormous runtime of the movie. Leonardo DiCaprio is hilariously fun to watch as this burnt-out revolutionary with nothing left to give, raising a daughter in a world he doesn't want to deal with anymore. Sean Penn kind of steals the show with this comical depiction of a racist military man hunting them down as shit gets real. But I think the point of the film is that neither character truly gets their ultimate moment of triumph or epic downfall. Instead, both just kind of fizzle out as the main character's daughter, played by Chase Infinity, truly carries the torch forward. Though ultimately, I was a little disappointed with how uninterested this movie is in the actual concept of revolution and politics. No movie has to tackle these issues, but one that centers on it so strongly can feel oddly timid at times. Some particular criticisms of the Perfidia character rang true for me as well, someone who feels like a caricature in a world of complicated people. So it does not top my list, but it remains a starring achievement of the year. Number 6, Mononoke the Movie 2, Ashes of Rage. A largely underappreciated anime film trilogy started last year. Based on the 2007 series Mononoke, it follows the medicine seller unraveling mysteries behind lingering spirits that plague the world and its inhabitants. This is the second film of the trilogy, with the first releasing in 2024 and the last coming out next year, so probably spoilers for next year's list. All take place in the same location and have continuity, but are largely separate plots. The film takes place within the massive harem reserved for the Emperor. Tensions run high amongst the women who are employed there. These movies are psychedelic trips through trauma that haunts the place. The plot is deliberately obscured through layers of odd interpretable imagery, often conveying the character's emotional state more than it does reality in moments of heightened tension. The music is incredible, exhilarating, and fairly unique on its own. I can't express just how gorgeous this film is all the way through. Like I said, the color work is designed to overwhelm you while still maintaining perfect clarity. Nothing quite looks the way Mononoke does. It's criminal how underrated the series and the movies are. But what really makes it special is how well the narrative structure is made to tackle all sorts of fascinating stories. The medicine seller slowly inserting himself into the situation, unable to solve anything until he has the shape, the truth, and the reason of the spirit that's causing so much damage. Climaxing in an emotional explosion of all characters when everything is revealed and putting into place, allowing the medicine seller to terminate the Mononoke. It does so much right and manages to be something really special. Number 5, The Phoenician Scheme. Wes Anderson has been making movies for nearly 30 years. After putting out so many films considered the epitome of the art form over and over again, I feel like I've seen a bit of a tonal shift in discussions about him. This is purely anecdotal, but I have seen a lot of repeated claims that his movies feel the same, they sour on his style, etc, etc. I just seriously can't agree. The Phoenician Scheme is a movie unlike any other, despite being a little similar to some of his older works and his overall style. I will never get sick of the hyper-meticulous work put into every single frame of this entire film. Each color, each prop, each movement, all of it. The narrative is engaging, following a classic heartless business tycoon as he embarks on a journey to complete his legacy in the face of inevitable oncoming death. His relationship with death is explored in these black and white scenes of the afterlife, allowing for a deep look into his perspective as it changes throughout the movie. It's also incredibly funny, the dry wit never gets old, and particular standouts like Michael Cera's character, or the numerous cameos all the way through, kept me endlessly entertained. But really, Benicio del Toro steals the spotlight from even the overwhelming filmmaking. On top of his performance in One Battle After Another, he truly feels like the MVP of the year for me. Just like everything Wes Anderson has made, The Phoenician Scheme is something truly special and worth treasuring. It is a movie of all time, transcending just the year it was released. Number 4, Begonia. Poor Things, released in 2023, is in my top 5 favourite films of all time. The director, Yorgos Lanthimos, is able to create these bewildering worlds with such a strong and stern vision. Emma Stone can't help but be one of the best actors in the business right now. Begonia is able to pull new things out of Stone while also being a unique experiment for the director as a remake. The original 2003 South Korean film, Save the Green Planet, is a very fun watch with some interesting ideas, but I found that it doesn't really figure out how to commit to its ideas fully. Begonia takes that same story and explodes it. The incredible blood-pumping soundtrack that makes your heart race, the suffocating close-ups and cold, distant medium shots all layer the film with this unique style, accentuating all of the interesting themes of isolation and change. The film isn't setting out to be the end-all, be-all of statements on conspiracy theories, because it's interested in more than that, either seen as a profoundly nihilistic tale or quite darkly hopeful story, depending on your perspective. Maybe we are truly doomed, fated to collapse in on ourselves, or this is a warning, begging us to move, to connect, and to fight so that it doesn't have to be this way. I love Bugonia. I eagerly watched it twice in theaters and was not bored for a second. I hope it makes its weirdly high budget back. Number 3, Train Dreams. This is a confident movie. If it was even like 10% different from how it is, I might just hate it. But as it is, it's the 3rd finest film of the year. Following a timid lumberjack as he works hard, falls in love, works hard to develop a family, and continue on from there. Easily my favourite part of the movie is these vignettes of his various colleagues over a number of jobs. It's able to interweave a quite beautiful sense of humour as well as these bleak moments of sadness, of quiet camaraderie, and every other way you can know a man. The visual style is also quite intoxicating. It's all in this idyllic, dreamlike film look that I don't really understand how exactly it was achieved, but it works so well. The story itself is a little predictable and a little broad. I'm just such a massive fan of films that show the majority of someone's life. One of the most beautiful scenes of the movie for me is a quite small conversation late in the film. This just general moment of bonding between people who don't really know each other and never really will. Honestly, I find it a tough movie to discuss because in truth, not too much truly happens in it, and I don't want to spoil it for people who don't see it coming, but it is a movie that's greater than the sum of its parts in a lot of ways. Also, the dogs were very cute. Number 2, Wake Up Dead Man. I'm so happy that Knives Out gets to continue, especially at this quality. I love detective stories and whodunits, but I feel like the genre has been stuck in a rut of classics and unable to move forward. Knives Out is the encapsulation of fun that I needed from mainstream blockbuster movies. This movie is accessible, enjoyable by all, but the director Rian Johnson is able to inject it with so much style, energy, and value. The themes of religion and faith are explored in some interesting ways, without just falling into either camp of Reddit atheism or blind support. It's able to recognize the values and the power while criticizing the evils it's capable of spreading, asking the question of where the line must be drawn if one can be drawn at all the while still delivering a simple, honest-to-God mystery with a satisfying conclusion that ties it all together. It doesn't feel like it's trying to outsmart the viewer, and it leaves you all the clues to follow along. Josh O'Connor's performance delivers an earnest and sincere character you can't help but be invested in. This is a movie that appeals to me in almost every way and manages to deliver on all fronts. It is a shining beacon in the largely bleak landscape of massive budget movies, which this absolutely is. While 28 years later was what I hoped to expect, Wake Up Dead Man is the best of what these sort of films can be. Movies can be fun, smart, and accessible, so much that even a grouchy contrarian like me can fall in love. This is my favorite Knives Out movie. Number 1, Chainsaw Man, the movie, Razork. My favorite film of the year was Chainsaw Man. This is a series I've been following since about the 50th chapter released, and it is now well into the 200s. I've read every one as they've come out, I watched the entire first season, I've gone back and enjoyed just about everything else the author Tatsuki Fujimoto has written. It is a story I cherish, and I think it's profoundly fascinating and beautiful. So when this movie was announced, I was excited in a way nothing else could ever really give me. The Razor arc is not even my favorite arc of Chainsaw Man. I think it's the first arc where the story starts to really unravel and reveal itself in its depth, but it just gets better and better. However, it does contain my favorite chapter in the series. Though, I should probably get into what the movie actually is. This movie is a burgeoning love story that collides into horrendous battles. It is a single arc in the middle of Chainsaw Man Part 1. It does not begin the story, nor does it end it, yet it manages to feel cohesive, self-contained, and satisfying regardless. Rather than desperately trying and failing to emulate the manga's expert paneling and page-to-page storytelling, it knows when to play it safe and when to embellish what should be explored further. It is some of the best animation I have ever seen in my life, plain and simple. The gorish nightmare hellscape of the film's climactic encounter, or the simple serenity of a small cafe with no customers, both are rendered with a beauty and adoration which is spellbinding. The music is exactly how I always imagined this story to be scored, while still being able to surprise and excite me. The only way I can express why this movie is so amazing to me and the best movie of the year is this. I'm unable to imagine a better adaptation of what is my most cherished source materials. It might not be perfect, it might not even be the best Chainsaw Man can be, but until then, the fact that this part of the story gets to be elevated to such a degree is all I could want. I love it so much, I will never stop loving it, it is everything I could have wanted and then some. I cannot believe I'm lucky enough to live in a world where this is the anime that Chainsaw Man gets. You should read Chainsaw Man, you should watch the first season of the anime, then you should watch this movie. You owe it to yourself, I really do mean it. It's why I'm refusing to say all that much about the plot itself. Chainsaw Man is worth it. And that's where this list was supposed to end. But then, 10 minutes before entering the new year, the day before I record this right now, I finished what probably is my favorite film of 2025. I didn't expect to, I didn't plan on it, and it kind of mucks up this whole script I've been working on for a while. So instead of just reorganizing everything, I'm just going to pin this little section here. 100 Meters is an anime film about sprinting. I don't really care about sports too much in general. It's not out of any animosity, I just don't particularly find myself invested in it that often. But I'm aware that it's practically a machine for pumping out valuable stories. And oh my god, this film is no different. It's unbelievably beautiful. Its use of traditional animation paired with intricate rotoscoped stuff is just perfect. The backgrounds are painted vistas, which frame every shot in this picturesque way. The animation is used with such intent and meaning. Rarely is anime able to capture someone's immense and complicated emotions with just a few squiggly lines and careful detail to character acting. The rotoscoping is used to capture the minutiae of human movement in a film so much about physicality, and other scenes are able to just drench the shot in emotion and intensity and suffocation. It is gorgeous. It's a film with a lot to say about passion and desire, what drives us to do the things we're good at and why we're good at them in the first place, chronicling a few races over a decade and a half of these characters' lives. The way these characters engage with each other change for the better and for the worse. It's all so interesting. You're offered so many perspectives and left to find the meaning and value of each, culminating in simple joy and love that feels unrivaled in anything else I saw this year. I really goddamn love this movie. Watch 100 Meters. Watch all the other stuff too. This list may have transformed quite accidentally into a top 16, but it's more than worth it to talk about pieces of art that moved me, and to recommend to you any if you hadn't heard of them before or were on the fence about them. Like almost every single year, it was a great year for movies. There was so much interesting stuff to watch and enjoy, there's so much stuff I haven't seen and maybe even heard of. But the end of the year always brings a fun opportunity to reflect and discuss a lot of things I wouldn't be able to dedicate to a full video on its own. I'm curious about what your favorite movie of the year was. It's good to think about why you like things, it helps you critically engage with the art form. If you happen to enjoy my discussion of these movies and would like to hear more, feel free to subscribe. I'm so excited to make so much more of these videos and all sorts of others. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you again soon. Until then, goodbye.